What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So in this video, we just got through going over the Hexeth portion of the talk to the generals and admirals. Now we're going to do Trump's. Admittedly, I had seen a decent amount of Hexeth's speech, although I hadn't seen all of it. I've not seen much of all of Trump's speech, so it's going to be kind of a first time watch, reaction or whatever to what he says. I mean, I think I saw some short little snippets of stuff, but the majority of it I have not seen. So, just go ahead and get that caveat. So I'll be reacting more in time to stuff. I'm gonna try, because this one's like about an hour. I'm gonna try to minimize my stopping, because I know I stopped a lot during the Hexeth one. So I'm gonna try to just let it play, and I'm gonna kind of over talk as much as if I can find spaces or something to do so. But if I have to stop it, I have to stop. It's probably gonna be another long one. So I just want to go ahead and get that out of the way. So thank you very much if you are joining here. If you are new, welcome to ClearTalk. If you would like to check out more videos from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, all that good stuff. If you want to check out channels from videos from other channels, jam drumming, play, puzzling, subscribe to those as well. That'd be fantastic. And help with the algorithm stuff. It's liking, sharing, all that good stuff to get videos to more people. If you wanted to support in any kind of way, there's links there for support, whether it's ongoing or one time. If you were to join the JMD Nation, that'd be amazing. Thank you very much. Any kind of support you give is very much appreciated. So that's that's basically what I don't normally have this long of videos. I try to limit it between 20 and 30 minutes most of the time. It is more of a long video format kind of thing that I do here. But when it comes to speeches like this or whatever, I do extend out to an hour or so. The other one was over an hour and a half. This one hopefully will be less than that. But anyways, that's what we do here, though. So if you're okay with that, if you're okay with just sitting it in the background, listening, checking it over, maybe you haven't watched the entire thing, you can watch it with me. And I have a feeling a lot of people haven't actually watched the entire thing. They either watch little snippets, whether you're on the left or the right, you watch little snippets that the right shows you, watch little snippets that the left shows you, whatever. You're not watching the whole thing. I want to take it all in, and so we're not cherry picking or anything like that. So, all right, here we are. This is where Trump starts. Let's go.
Fantastic job. I've never walked into a room so silent before. This is very... Don't laugh. Don't laugh. You're not allowed to do that. You know what? Just have a good time. And if you want to applaud, you applaud. And if you want to do anything you want, you can do anything you want. And if you don't like what I'm saying, you can leave the room. Of course, there goes your rank. There goes your future.
Real quick, though. So basically, he's told that these admirals are the upstanding, high-ranking. They're not going to, they've been doing this for decades. They are, up the utmost respect or like disciplined group of people. So, the idea that they'll be much like carrying on, rhetoric or like laughing or all that kind of stuff, it just doesn't happen with this kind of group. So Trump immediately comes out like that, oh yeah, we're just going to be lively, we're going to be happy. I want y'all to be able to do what you want to do. No, don't be so uptight, because Trump, he wants that engagement. He likes that engagement. He likes, he's used to his rallies where he's got all his people, his normies or whatever, his people, like constantly giving him adoration, giving him, feedback to him that is positive and makes him feel like he's, doing what is expected, like what he wants, or what they want. And that's this type of situation here probably worries him a little bit, because he's going into something that he's been told is going to be, kind of more flatline, not going to give much feedback, and that's something that he feels like he's unable to do the crowd work that he normally does, or normally would be able to do. So he's immediately trying to take an attempt at softening that up. I don't know. I haven't seen the whole thing, so I don't know how much that goes. And then, of course, then he makes this, what comes off as like a joke. Like, you can leave if you'd want, if you're okay. But, there goes your rank. There goes your position or whatever, And he makes it like a joke, but I have to, and I'm sure many of these have to wonder, oh yeah, you probably would. You probably would come after me if I walked out of here, because that's all he's been about, is going after, because he would view you as a political opponent, a political opposition to him. But anyway, okay. Hopefully that will be one of very few stops.
But you just feel nice and loose, okay? Because we're all on the same team. And I was told that, sir, you won't hear a murmur in the room. I said, we got to loosen these guys up a little bit. So you just have a good time. But I want to thank Secretary Hegseth and General Kane, General Raisin Kane, for a reason they call him that. When I heard his name, I said, you're the guy I'm looking for. The Joint Chiefs of Staff and so many others in this room.
You're that chicken guy.
The greatest and most elite fighting force in the history of the world, the United States.
I love your
military.
chicken.
We're very proud of our military. I rebuilt the military during my first term. It's one of the greatest achievements. We had the greatest economy in history, and I built the military. Those are the two things I say more than anything else. And I also kept us safe at the borders. We had very good borders. We didn't have people coming in from jails and prisons and everything like took place over the last 4 years. They'll never forget what happened to this country over the last 4 years.
It's like a typical campaign rally for him.
There could be no higher honor than to serve as your commander-in-chief. It is a great honor. I look at you, you're just incredible people. Central casting, I might add. To each and every one of you, I thank you for your unwavering devotion to the armed forces and to the country that we've all sworn a sacred oath to defend. We all have that oath, every one of us. I'm thrilled to be here this morning to address the senior leadership of what is once again known around the world as the Department of War. I know Pete spoke about it. He gave a great speech, I thought. Great speech. I don't want him to get so good. I hate that. No, I hate it. I almost fired him. I said, you can't, I don't want to go on after that. No, he gave a great speech, but he talked about Department of War. We were sitting there. I said, didn't it used to be called the Department of War? And he goes, yes, sir. They changed it like in the early 50s. So we won the First World War. We won the Second World War. We won everything in between and everything before that. We only won. And then we went, in a way, woke. That was probably the first sign of wokeness. And we changed it to defense instead of war. And I said, what do you think? How do you think if we changed it back? Would that be a nice idea? And Pete loved it immediately. Some people thought about it. They gave it a little thought. But in the end, we did it. And I have to be honest, it's so popular. I thought it would be met with fury on the left. But they're sort of giving up, I must be honest with you. They've had it. They've had it with Trump. They've been after me for so many years now. Here we are. Here we are. Come to the White House anytime you'd like. No, they've given up. They're bad, a lot of bad people. But all over, it's been so popular. It's been very popular. I really thought that we were going to have to sort of fight it through. There's been no fight. There's been no fight. Like what I called the Gulf of America, because to me it was always the Gulf of America. I could never understand. We have 92% of the frontage. And
the frontage.
For years, actually 350 years, they were there before us. It was called the Gulf of Mexico. I just had this idea. I'm looking at a map. I'm saying, we have most of the frontage. Why is it Gulf of Mexico? Why isn't it the Gulf of America? And I made the change, and it went smoothly. I mean, we had a couple of fake news outlets that refused to make the change. And then one of them, AP, took us to court. and we won. And the judge, who was a somewhat liberal judge, said the name is the Gulf of America, because AP refused to call it the Gulf of America. They wrote they're not.
I don't know where he gets that they won. I don't know where he gets that they won. The judge literally appointed that the AP was to be allowed back into the press briefings and stuff. How did they win? I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe something has happened since, but from my understanding, the judge pushed for AP to be back in there. So I don't. But even talking about this is absolutely ridiculous right now. Like, but he is right. There has not been enough pushback from the left, or from what he considers the left, the centrists, Democrats. They have been complete shit on going against anything that is going on right now. They've done their little finger wagging like they always do, but other than that, they have not really even tried to push back. You have had pushback more in the actual citizenry, pushback in protest, pushback in even your far actual left progressive groups, even though that has even been somewhat minimal itself. But no, the majority of Democrats have not really pushed back that much. The only thing that has been actual pushback against this administration, and we've said this over and over again, has been judicially. Either judicially or people in the streets. Actual citizens protesting. Like the ones that went in, that did it to his face in the restaurant that he's now trying to go after. I mean... But he didn't get much pushback. Not from the Democrats. Not from the people in Congress. No, he didn't.
A good outfit, by the way. They call it the Gulf of Mexico. I said, no, the Gulf of America is the name. And the judge actually said that, in fact, you can't even go into the room because what you're doing is not appropriate. The name is the Gulf of America. Google Maps changed the name. Everybody did, but AP wouldn't, and then we won.
No, not everybody did. The actual official name is still the Gulf of Mexico. Only in America is it Gulf of America. This dude lives in such a false reality. He is the fake news that he always claims. He envelops the fake news. Everything that comes out of his mouth is the fake news. Oh my God.
In court. How about that? Isn't that so cool? The secretary
okay, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to stop.
Beautifully described the name change reflects far more than the shift in branding. It's really a historic reassertion of our purpose and our identity and our pride. That's when we go with the word war. And, we want war because we want to have no wars. But
we want war because we want
be there, and sometimes
no
you have
wars.
to do it. I have settled so many wars since we're here. We're here.
Here he goes with the lies.
And I've settled 7. And
there he goes with the lies.
Settled the biggest of them all.
He hasn't settled any wars.
Pakistan, India was very big. Both nuclear powers. I settled that. But yesterday could be the settlement in the Middle East. That hasn't happened for 3,000 years. I said, how long have you been fighting?
3,000 years.
3,000 years.
3,000 years.
Time.
This is behind. It's frustrating.
We'll see. Hamas has to agree. And if they don't, it's going to
be.
They've
not been at war for 3,000 years.
It is what it is. But all of the Arab nations, Muslim nations have agreed. Israel has agreed. It's an amazing thing. It just came together.
Actually, Israel has not.
War is very strange. You never know what's going to happen with war. The easiest one of them all is Putin. I said, number one, it's a war that would have never happened if I were president, if the election weren't rigged.
And yet you're a president, and it's still happening.
War would have never happened. Not even a little chance. And it didn't happen for 4 years. But I knew Putin very well, and I thought that would be easy because I know him so well. Well, that one turned out to be the hardest of them all. We had some that were not settlable, and they all got settled. So if this works out that we did yesterday, with the Middle East, then that's more than a war. That's lots of wars. That's all combined. That's a lot of wars. Many of you were over there in many different capacities in many different countries. That's a big part of
This
the
will
earth.
settle all of the
But if that works
wars.
out, it would be 8+. I could give myself 2 or 3 for that one.
Oh yeah, I'm just going
And
to
then we
make up
just have the
numbers
one to
like I
settle.
always
We have
do.
to settle it up with President Putin and Zelensky. Got to get them together and get it done. But the only way we can do that is through strength. I mean, if we were weak, they wouldn't even take my phone call. But we have extreme strength. We had.
You said it would only take one phone call to end it,
in
and yet
Afghanistan, which is really the reason
it's still
I think
going on.
that Putin went in.
You were
He saw
going to end
that
it the
horror
first
show
day.
by Biden and his team.
So I guess your
incompetent
strength
people.
isn't as strong as you think
And
it
that
is.
showed, I think it gave him a path in. I wasn't there any longer. I watched that and it was so,
But maybe if
so
he has to do
horrible. I
those
think it was the
PT
most
tests,
embarrassing
he'll get
day
that
in the history
strength.
of our country. And now we're back. That's it. We're not going to have any of that crap happen, I can tell you. That was terrible, so terrible. Together we're reawakening the warrior spirit, and this is a spirit that won and built this nation, and from the cavalry that tamed the Great Plains to the ferocious, unyielding power of Patton, Bradley, and the great
He
General
doesn't know what the
Douglas
fuck he's even
MacArthur. These
saying.
are all great men.
He's just reading
In this effort, we're a team,
some
and
print
so
about this
my
big
message to you is very
on
simple.
a screen.
I am with you. I support you. And as president, I have your backs 100%. You'll never see me even waver a little bit. It's the way it is. And that includes our great police officers and firemen and all of these people that are doing so well.
While you
Together
have
over the next
ICE
few years, we're going to make our military stronger, tougher, faster, fiercer, and
spraying
more powerful than it has ever
tear
been
gas
before.
and stuff on our own police
I rebuilt
departments,
our nuclear,
individuals.
as you probably know, but we'll
Yeah, that
upgrade
happened.
that also and just hope we never have to use it. We have to hope we never have to
Mustard gas or whatever the hell it was.
The power of that is
Tear gas.
so
Sorry, not mustard gas.
incredible. I
was
see
stupid.
things I don't think they'd show it to you. I really wouldn't want them to show it to you. But when you see the result of what's left, you never want to use that. Never, never, ever. We were a little bit threatened by Russia recently, and I sent a submarine, nuclear submarine, the most lethal weapon ever made. Number one, you can't detect it. There's no way. We're 25 years ahead of Russia and China in submarines. Russia's actually second in submarines. China's third, but they're coming up. They're coming up. They're way lower in nuclear too, but in 5 years they'll be equal. They're coming up. And you don't have to be.
They're coming up.
that
They're
good
going to
with
show
nuclear. You
themselves on
have
the top of the water eventually.
1/20th what
They're
you have
just
now
too
and
far down
still
right
do
now.
the damage that would be, that'd be so horrendous. But I announced that, based on his mention of nuclear, and it was really a stupid person that works for him mentioned the word nuclear, I moved a submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the
Except for you did.
coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word.
Yeah, I did see
I
this
call
part.
it the N-word.
The
There are
N-word.
two N-words, and you can't
What?
use either of them.
What? Two
Can't
N-words.
use either of them.
Can't use either one of them.
And frankly, if it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when
Which one are we talking about now? See, he was just talking about two N-words. What? Are we still talking about nuclear? Our N-words are stronger and better. We have more of them. They're newer. Oh my God, bro. Bro, this is the president of the fucking United States, man. The leader of the free
somebody
world.
mentions that submarine started immediately thereafter, and it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs isn't. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. but we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things. As a result of the exciting renewal of the spirit of our armed forces, and that's what it is. It's
above
really
water or below
reaching
water.
its
But if they're in the water, they'll
unprecedented
find
heights.
us.
Over the past 8 months, new enlistments, I'm so proud of this, have surged to record highs, the highest we've ever had. And we used to have recruiting shortages. If
That's
you
why
remember,
we stay out of the water.
about a year and a half ago, I was at the beginning stage of a campaign, and things came out that you couldn't get people to join the armed forces. And by the way, the police also. Fire department. I always put the fire department in because they're great. They're great. And I got 95% of their vote, too. That helps. When you get 95% of their vote, you always have to mention them. But they're great. And they're brave in our inner cities, which we're going to be talking about, because it's a big part of war now. It's a big part of war. But the firemen go up
Our
in ladders
inner
and you have people
cities,
shooting at them.
our inner cities are a big part of war. This is a Department of War meeting, and he makes a statement that our inner cities are a big part of war. What war? I didn't know we had a war going on in America. They say it. They say it over and over again.
While they're up in ladders. I don't even know if anybody heard that, but and I said, don't talk about it much, but I think you have to. Our firemen are incredible. They're up in one of these ladders that goes way up to the sky.
Way up to the sky. Such a big fucking ladder. It's such a big ladder. And they can climb and climb and climb. They can touch those clouds. They can touch the clouds. They're so high.
Rescuing people, and you have animals shooting at them, shooting bullets at firemen that are way up in death territory. You fall off that ladder, it's over.
I looked this up because I'm like, what are you talking about? Firemen getting shot at. And there have been a few instances in history in the past decade or so where there have been a couple of like individual events where the a local fire group or whatever was intentionally summoned to an area by someone who was trying to entrap them so that this happened. I think the last time it showed, it was like in I want to say 2020 or something like that, or 2022, somewhere in there, where somebody that had an issue, like it was a young person who had tried to get into the military, couldn't get into the military. Then he tried to get into the local fire department, and they wouldn't let him into the local fire department. So he got enraged and basically made a fake thing and or whatever, or maybe in that instance he actually went to the fire department and started shooting up the fire department. And then the last one was like years before, like 2012 or something, like 2000 or 2004. Like this is not something that is like continuously happening over and over and over again to our firemen. Like this is. He's making this out like this is something that's going on in our inner cities, our blue democratic inner cities all over the country. Firemen are just getting shot up. Like this is not something that's happening. Not like on some grand scale. We're talking about a few instances over decades that has happened. I mean, this is not as big of a deal as he's making it to be. I mean, yes, that is something that is feared oftentimes, but or potentially, could happen, and it has happened where people specifically target but it's not because they're targeting them out of some sort of hatred of Trump or something, or some kind of like, it's not some kind of left ideology or even necessarily a right ideology. It's something that's more mental issue, somebody that has a personal grudge or something against somebody or what. Like it's not whatever.
It's over. They don't even have to inspect you when you hit the ground. And you have people shooting bullets at them in some of these inner cities. We're not going to let that happen. So I always mention the firemen because that's actually a big problem we have.
It's not a big problem, and he doesn't mention them.
People. For the first time on record in 2025, the Navy, Air Force, and Space Force all met or surpassed their recruiting goals 3 months early. That never happened before. And the Army did even better. Congratulations, Army. They met everything. And these were the highest standards because we're making it larger. So these were much higher standards than you had 4 years ago, 3 years ago, during the sleepy Joe Biden era. And the Army did it 4 months early. And you remember a year and a half ago, they said the big stories that we're way behind with the Army, Air Force, the Navy, the Marines. We're way behind, Coast Guard, and even Space Force. I love Space Force because that was my creation. You know, when you create something, I love it. And the people we put in there were good. I got that right. We put in great people initially, and we really dominated. We really dominate in that sphere now. We're way behind China and Russia, and now we dominate. Space Force turned out to be a very important thing. I said from the beginning,
get the camera straight.
When Biden came into office, he wanted to terminate it. He said, and this thing called Space Force, so we could get rid of that. And he got hammered by the people in this room for even suggesting it, because it's very important, one of the most important. And as time goes by, it'll get more and more important. But we're now at 106% of our recruiting targets for the year, and that's the best in far more than a generation. And for the Marines, morale is so strong that the Marine Corps will meet its 2026 retention targets before the end of October, which never happens. And that's the earliest it's ever happened in the history of our country.
I'm speeding it up.
And it makes you feel good, you know. I felt guilty. I'd go make a speech in front of never people like you. You are the leaders, but people, soldiers. And I felt embarrassed because there'd be stories about, you know, we couldn't fill up our Army, Navy, Air Force. We couldn't fill them up. And it was headlines. It was during Biden's 4 years, the auto pen. I call them the auto pen. It's, how would you like to have your thing signed by an auto pen? You know, when I have a general and I have to sign for a general because we have beautiful paper, the gorgeous paper, I said throw a little more gold on it. They deserve it. I want the A paper, not the D paper. We used to sign a piece of garbage. I said, this man's going to be a general, right? Yeah. I don't want to use this. I want to use the big, beautiful, firm paper. I want to use the real gold writing when you talk about the position, and they're beautiful. And, but how would you like to have that where some kid sitting in the back office is having it signed with an auto pen? I thought about it, and I thought about you people first, admirals, generals. I said, somebody works his whole life. He gets into maybe the academies or wherever, but however you got there, and you go through years of work, and now you become an admiral or a general or whatever. And when you do, the President of the United States signs your commission, as you know, and that commission is beautifully displayed. And I sign it. Actually, I love my signature. I really do. Everyone loves my signature. But I signed it very proudly, and I always think to myself, how can you have an auto pen sign this? It's just so disrespectful. To me, it's just totally disrespectful. And it turned out that almost everything he did was signed by auto pen, except for when he gave his son, Hunter, pardon. He signed that one. And that's actually the worst signature I've ever seen. That was the pen. The auto pen looks much better. But as leaders, our commitment to every patriot who put on the uniform is to ensure that American military remains the most lethal and dominant on the planet.
I can't with this guy.
Not merely for a few years, but for the decades and generations to come, for centuries. We must be so strong that no nation will dare challenge us, so powerful that
I wanted the golden paper,
us, and so capable that no adversary can even think about beating us. And we've had it recently. I had
Stu's obsession
India
with gold
and
is
Pakistan
crazy.
were going at it. And I called them both. And in this case, I used trade. I'm not going to trade with you. You said 2 nuclear nations, big nuclear. And no, you cannot do that. I said, yes, I can. You go into this freaking war that I'm hearing about. You know, actually, they just shot down 7 planes. 7 planes, it was starting. There's a lot of bad blood. And I said, you do this, there's not going to be any trade. And I stopped the war. It was raging for 4 days, but that was just the beginning. And we stopped it. It was a great thing. And the Prime Minister of Pakistan was here, along with the Field Marshal, who's a very important guy in Pakistan. And he was here 3 days ago. And I didn't even realize it as beautifully as he said it, but he said that to a group of people that were with us, 2 generals, but a group, he said, this man saved millions of lives because he saved the war from going on. And that war was going to get very bad, very, very bad. President Trump saved millions and millions of lives. That was a bad war. And I was very honored. I loved the way he said it. Susie Wiles was there. She said that was the most beautiful thing. But we saved a lot of them. Saved a lot of them. Even in Africa, we saved the Congo with Rwanda. They've been fighting for 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got that one done. And
it's still not done.
So if this
it's still
out,
going on.
We'll have 8.
We've already
8
had
in
this
8
video.
months.
Go check that out. We've talked about all these supposed 7 wars. He hasn't done anything.
They'll give it to some guy that didn't do a damn thing. They'll give it to a guy that wrote a book about the mind of Donald Trump and what it took to solve the wars. And he'll get the Nobel Prize will go to a writer. No, but well, let's see what happens. But it's be a big insult.
His
to our
obsession with the Nobel Peace Prize.
I don't want the country to get it. It should get it because there's never been anything like it. Think of it. So if this happens, I think it will. I don't say that lightly because I know more about deals than anybody. This is what my whole life was based on.
He knows about everything more than anybody.
But we have
except for when he doesn't know
one signature that we need.
anything about it.
That signature will pay in hell if they don't sign. I hope they sign for their own good and create something really great. But to have done 8 of them is just like such an honor. And then we have Putin and Zelensky. The easiest one of them all. I said, that one I'll get done. I thought that was going to be first. The others were much harder, some of them. Azerbaijan this was going on for 36 years. They said, it's not solvable, so don't do it. I said, I will do it. I will do it. And I got on the phone with the 2 countries. They were great. They were great. I knew immediately. I knew as soon as I started talking to them, we're going to solve that war. We did. Now they're so happy. Now they're friends. One said he's been president for 32 years.
Didn't do anything there either.
He said, for 22 years, I did nothing but kill his people. They were in the room together at the Oval Office. And they started off spread like this. I have the beautiful resolution.
They were even joking and making fun of him mistaking and saying the wrong countries and stuff. These people do not respect him.
And as the hour went by, they got closer.
They think he's a joke.
Closer. And at the end of the hour, we had it done. And they hugged and hugged and hugged. And I said, that's so nice, and you're going to remain friends. And I spoke to them.
They were laughing and joking with Macron about it.
But for 22 years, he's been the head of Azerbaijan for 22 years. And the other guy, great guy too, 7. And you know that war. That was a war that was not solvable. He said for 7 years. The other one said for 22 years. All I did was kill his people. That's all I've done. I said, well, we're going to put a stop to that. So we solved that. So it's a great thing. It's a great feeling. You're saving Kosovo and Serbia. You're saving so many lives doing this if you can do it. But our people deserve nothing less than the very best. And we're never going to let them down. And if we can solve wars instead of you having to fight wars, wouldn't that be wonderful, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful? That's why one of the first executive orders I signed upon taking office was to restore the principle of merit. That's the most important word, other than the word tariff. I love tariffs. Most beautiful word, but I'm not allowed to say that anymore.
Ruining our economy, but yeah, sure.
I love the word tariff. We're becoming rich as hell. We have a big case in front of the Supreme Court, but I can't imagine, because this is what other nations have done to us.
They have like 20-something states that are on the verge of recession right now.
Something happened.
Mississippi being one of them.
My favorite word in the English dictionary is the word tariff. And people thought that was strange.
Prices going up.
Came over and they really hit me hard on it. They said, what about love?
Unemployment going up.
What about God? What about wife, family? I got killed when I said tariff is my favorite word. So I changed it. It's now my 5th favorite word. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. But they hit me hard. But it is. I mean, when you look at, we've taken in trillions of dollars. We're rich again. And there'll never be, when we finish this out, there'll never be any wealth like what we have. Other countries were taking advantage of us for years and years. You know that better than anybody. And now we're treating them fairly. But the money coming in is, we've never seen anything like it.
What does this have to do?
That they found.
What does this have to do with generals and admirals?
And we're not sure from where it came. A gentleman came, a financial guy. I said, well, what does that mean? He said, we don't know where it came. I said, check the tariff shelf. No, sir, the tariffs haven't started in that sector yet. I said, yes, they have. They started 7 weeks ago. Check it. Comes back 20 minutes later. Sir, you're right. It came from tariffs. 31 billion. That's enough to buy a lot of battleships, Admiral, to use an old term. But I think we should maybe start thinking about battleships, by the way. You know, we have a Secretary of the Navy came to me because I look at the Iowa out in California and I look at different ships, the old pictures. I used to watch Victory at Sea. I love Victory at Sea. Look at these admirals. It's got to be your all-time in black and white. And I look at those ships. They came with the destroyers alongside of them, and man, nothing was going to stop. They were 20 deep, and they were in a straight line, and there was nothing going to stop.
I love the ships. We needed to have battleships.
Some people would say, no, that's old technology. I don't know. I don't think it's old
Let's
technology.
make battleships again. Let's go back
Some
to
people
the
actually
old
considering the concept of
ways.
battleship.
Okay.
Nice 6-inch
Means
size,
we don't need
solid
nuclear
steel,
anymore, right?
not aluminum that melts if it looks at a missile coming at it. Starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away. Now those ships, they don't make them that way anymore. But you look at it, and
Yeah, we're making aluminum
your secretary likes
ships.
it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons. I should take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering. They were powers. They were big powers. They were just about as mean and scary as you. It's a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of missile coming at it. Starts melting as the missile's about 2 miles away.
I'm
Now,
going to
those
hear
ships,
this
they don't
again.
make them that way anymore. But you look at it, and your secretary likes it, and I'm sort of open to it. And bullets are a lot less expensive than missiles. A lot of reasons. I should take a vote, but I'm afraid to take that vote because I may get voted out on that one. But I tell you, it's something we're seriously considering.
Bullets are more expensive
They were
or
powers. They were
less
big
expensive
powers.
than
They were
missiles.
just about as mean and scary as you could be. So we're looking at that. One of the biggest cases that we won was the decision of the United States Supreme Court to allow us to proceed on the word merit. Merit. So those two words are right up there. So this is, I would say, the opposite if you ask for a definition, the opposite of political correctness. We went through political correct where you had to have people that were totally unfit to be doing what you're doing for many reasons. I won't get into them, but for many reasons they were unfit. Now it's all based on merit. That was such an unbelievable decision. I didn't expect we were going to win that one. We went in. We said we needed it. We went in for colleges, where kids with a C average will get us colleges, and the kids with A averages won't get in. Kids with the highest boards and the highest marks and the best marks couldn't get into the best schools, and people that had not good boards and not very good marks, I mean, okay, but nothing special, they were getting into our best colleges. I said, this is just crazy.
Not happening.
You can't run
Not
a country
happening.
like this. And it was
Not
lingering for
happening.
years, and it got to the Supreme Court, and we won that decision. Merit. Everything's based on merit. You're all based on merit. We're not going to have somebody take in your place for political reasons because they are politically correct, and you're not. We take the people that are going to do the best job. That's all. It's very simple. And that's the way our country was built. We were built on merit. We got away from it for a long time.
Like his administration.
And everyone
All of
understands
them
it.
are
And
merited.
it was done. It was approved. I give great credit to the Supreme Court because I thought they had
Have
tremendous
great
courage. I didn't think they'd
amounts
do
of
that. That was
experience and
tremendous.
skill
They
for
give
their
maybe for that decision
position.
almost more than anything, because it's a hard decision to make. It's really hard. The apparatus of our country was not set up for merit. It was set up for political correctness.
His
And you can
administration
never
is the
be great
least
if
merited
you're going to do that.
administration
And we're going to be
probably
greater than
ever.
we ever were before. We're bringing back a focus on fitness, ability, character, and strength. And that's because the purposes of American military is not to protect anyone's feelings. It's to protect our republic. And it's the republic that we dearly love. It's to protect our country. We will not be politically correct when it comes to defending American freedom. And we will be a fighting and winning machine. We want to fight. We want to win. And we want to fight as little as possible. You have to count on people like me to keep you out of wars because we don't want to go into wars. Many of the wars that I just told you about, we could have entered those wars and settled them in a different way, lose a lot of our troops. And we're going to settle them, I guess, differently. Maybe not, actually. Actually, you might not have been able to settle them. We just would have been in the middle of a lot of firepower. But when we do need it, you're going to be so ready. And you know it. But very importantly, with that goal in mind, I've committed
We might
to
settle them, we
spending
might
over
not.
$1 trillion on our military in 2026, and that's the most in the history of our country. $1 trillion. That's a lot of money. I hope you like that. Ma'ams and sirs, I hope you like it. That's a hell of a lot of money. We have the best of everything. Every branch is seeing major investments, and as I announced in the Oval Office in March, We are rapidly moving forward with the first ever 6th generation fighter jet. I didn't name it. I did not name it. Boeing came in and they said, sir, this is our submittal. It's the greatest fighting jet ever done. And, they're testing all these planes. All the companies are testing, and this one tested like through the roof. And they said, we'd like to name it the F-47. I said, all right, let me think about it. Then after thinking for about 2 seconds, I said, okay. You know what that means, 47, I'm 47. So I'm 45, 46, and 47, if you think about it. I just don't want the credit for 46. I don't want to have their open borders and people coming in from all over the world, including jails and mental institutes. I don't want that on my record, but I like having it. We're investing tens of billions of dollars in modernizing our nuclear
and he's going to try to be 48.
Like never before. And we've begun construction on what we call the Golden Dome missile defense shield. It'll be the most sophisticated in the world. You watched it do well until there's some problems at the end with a little bit of a lack of ammunition, defensive ammunition.
He was slurping some air there.
We got that taken care of. But I tell you, it's what we're doing is so good, and we deserve it. We help other countries with it. We don't have it ourselves. And Canada called me a couple of weeks ago. They want to be part of it. To which I said, well, why don't you just join our country? You become 51, become the 51st state, and you get it for free. So I don't know if that made a big impact, but it does make a lot of sense. It actually makes because they're having a hard time up there in Canada now.
This man is talking to our generals and admirals. Keep that in mind. This is not a rally speech. He's talking to our United States military generals and admirals.
Have $1 trillion. We have $17 trillion, more than that in 8 months coming in. And they're coming in from Canada, Mexico, from Europe, from all over. AI, auto plants. Everybody's coming back to the United States. Under my budget, we will be expanding the U.S. Navy by at least 19 ships next year, including submarines, destroyers, assault ships, and more. And it's going to be much more than that as we go along, because we basically don't build ships anymore. We do build submarines, but we don't build ships. Do you know in the Second World War, they were freighters and different types, but we were doing a ship a day. And now we don't do ships. And I'm not a fan of some of the ships you do. I'm a very aesthetic person. I don't like some of the ships you're doing aesthetically. They say, oh, it's stealth. I said, that's not stealth. An ugly ship is not necessary in order to...
He wants them battleships. He wants the ships to look like the old school battleships. I love the way they look like in those movies.
And Pete were we call it the war room.
Because the only place I've ever seen a battleship is in the movies.
Not seen. They were literally not seen. They dropped their bombs. They hit every single one of them, hit its target. It was total obliteration. CNN, when we came back, fake news CNN, oh, their camera just went off. Their camera, every time I mention them, they turn the camera off because it's never good. They said, this is a problem. But I don't blame them. You're better off keeping it on. But they have some scammer reporter who started saying, without any knowledge, that he may not have hit the targets as well as they thought. It may not have been obliteration. He did hit the targets, and they got to give us a little credit, right? It was obliteration, it turned out. The Atomic Energy Commission said it was obliteration. Not only did they hit the target, they hit these chutes. And think of this here. Way up in the sky, there was no moon. It was dead dark. Couldn't see a thing. You couldn't see them. But they had, I guess, a beam going right into these chutes. Every single one of those bombs went right down those chutes into a granite mountain. I think it's the last time they're going to build air chutes.
He's talking about our illegal bombing of Iran.
But it was total obliteration.
Yeah.
And now they give us credit for that. But these people were phenomenal. I tell you, for the Air Force people here, you can be very proud of that B-2. We just ordered a lot of new ones and updated ones, but I'd take the other ones. Let me tell you, they couldn't have worked any better. So they flew for 37 hours total, back and forth. No stops, no nothing. We had 52 tankers loading them up. And that's a job I wouldn't necessarily want too much, flying a tanker loaded up with hundreds of thousands of gallons of fuel. I don't know if I'd do that job. I asked the question, what happens if it gets hit? Sir, you don't want to know about that, right? I don't want to know about that. But those guys, they just hear us. They're incredible. I had them all to the Oval Office. We had the B-2 pilots and a lot of the people, even the people that took care of them, the maintenance people, just as important. We had them all to the White House, gave them a big party on the lawn, brought some of them into the Oval Office. But on top of all this, we'll deliver a hard-earned pay raise of 3.8% to every soldier, sailor, airman, Coast Guardsman, Space Guardman, and Marine, something you weren't getting from the past administration. They did not treat you with respect. They're Democrats. They never do. Not only are we rebuilding our great strength, but for the first time in years, my administration is actually using that strength to defend the core and vital interests of America. And very simply, we are putting America first. And I have since I've been elected. I've always put America first. It's sort of simple, when you think. My campaign was run on common sense, and we did great. We've got the highest numbers ever received in terms of districts. You know, they have it broken up: 2,500 versus 525. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. We won everything. You have to take a look at the map. It's almost entirely red, except there's a little blue line on each coast, and I think that's going to disappear too. We did really great, and part of it is because of our success with the military, the rebuilding.
Because the land doesn't vote.
The vote that I got from the military, and they're vicious people, you know, that we have to fight.
You got
just like you have to fight
30,
vicious people. Mine are different, a different kind of
34% of
they
our
made all
population.
these horrible, you know, they made up statements.
It wasn't a mandate.
About everything, but even about the military. But fortunately, the military didn't believe it. It's hard. You know, they make up a statement and they said, you say it. We had 25 people that said he never said that. 25. We had 25 affidavits. And they said, well, we're going with it anyway. You know, these sleazebags. And that's why the press is really losing all power, because people aren't believing it. We need an honest press. We need borders. We need borders.
We need an honest
press.
president.
We need fair elections. I mean, those three things. And we don't have an honest press. We have a really corrupt press, but we fight through the corrupt press. And the people understand you have to do this stuff a lot. You have to go on television a lot because you can't get a fair shake if you're going to rely on somebody else. They don't understand. They've destroyed the image of media now is at the lowest point it's ever been. It's lower than Congress. Can you believe that? It's something.
Because
but
of
together with many of you in the room, we've brought back the fundamental principle that defending the homeland is the military's first and most important.
Because they keep letting him get by with lies. Or they keep lying themselves.
Politicians somehow come to believe
in
that
defense
their job
of
is
him.
to police the far reaches of Kenya and Somalia, while America is under invasion from within. We're under invasion from within. No different than a foreign enemy, but more difficult in many ways because they don't wear uniforms. At least when they're wearing a uniform, you can take them out. These people...
From invasion from within. No different from our external enemies. And you know what he's talking about. We've been talked about this before. The enemy from within is anybody who is considered to him in opposition. These radical lefties. They don't like what I'm doing. As he stated, the smart people. The smart people don't like me. The smart people don't like me. You're right. The smart people don't like you because they're smart enough to know you're full of shit. But in your own admission, the not smart people do like you. The uneducated do like you. Why? It's self-explanatory.
Don't have uniforms. But we are under invasion from within. We're stopping it very quickly. After spending trillions of dollars defending the borders of foreign countries, with your help, we're defending the borders of our country from now on. We're not going to let this happen. Biden let people come in from prisons, mental institutions, drug dealers, murderers. You know, we had 11,488 murderers allowed into our country by this guy who had no clue. He had no clue. He shouldn't have been there in the first place, but he had no clue. The people that ran the office, the White House, were people that surrounded him radically.
Yes, I know he's actually trying to say the enemy from within is immigrants. I know that. But he's also talking about political opposition. Immigrants are political opposition. Along with lefties, radical lefties.
The left lunatics that are brilliant people, but dumb as hell when it came to policy and common sense. And they allowed people from all over the world, from the Congo. They opened up prisons in the Congo. They came into our country totally unmatched, unvetted, unchecked. And from all over South America, not just South America. You know, you think South America, no, but from all over. A lot came in from Venezuela. Venezuela emptied its prison population into our country. That's why they have Tren de Aragua, one of the worst gangs ever. But we took care of them. We took good, strong care of them. And I just want to thank the National Guard in Washington, D.C. It's embarrassing to say this. Now I can say it because we solved it. But Washington, D.C. was the most unsafe, most dangerous city in the United States of America. And to a large extent, beyond that. You go to Afghanistan, they didn't have anything like that. You go to countries that you would think there's problems, they didn't have that. And now Washington, D.C., after 12 days of serious...
Washington, D.C. was worse than Afghanistan. You can't make this shit up. Like, Washington D.C.'s crime rate had been down, was reduced. It was lower than what it had previously been. Along with crime rate all over the United States is actually lower over the recent years. He didn't do anything to save Washington, D.C. Those damn troops that he deployed, they were cleaning up the city, like literally picking up trash and shit. They weren't doing anything else.
Serious intensity. We took out 1,700 career criminals. If you have 5 career criminals, they can make your numbers look very bad because they'll commit many crimes a day. But we took out 1,700, and they took them out. There was no doubt who the boss was. They did an unbelievable job. Then they started even cleaning. I said, I don't want them doing that, sir. They were cleaning it up. I drove through it 2 days ago. It was beautiful. People are walking down the street holding hands, man and wife, coming from Iowa. They're not worried about being shot. Washington, D.C. is now a safe city. In fact, I went out to dinner with my crew. I haven't done that. In theory, I wouldn't do it. And I felt totally safe. And nobody's been attacked. Nobody's been hurt. Washington, D.C. went from our most unsafe.
Totally safe, but yet he had protesters there protesting him outside and inside. That he, made argument to get them out. And now he's, politically going after them, adding them to the list of people he wants to go after. Bruh.
City to just about our safest city in a period of a month. We had it under control in 12 days, but give us another 15, 16 days. It's perfect. And people other than politicians that look bad, they think, the Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in. We had no people enter in the last 4 months. 0. Even I can't believe that. We had millions.
He's conflating and blending immigration with political opposition, protesting and stuff going on in the cities and throughout the United States. He's conflating the two, along with also crime. It's all tied in as one. Immigration, crime, protesting. It's all the same thing. It's all the enemy from within. And he keeps sort of blending in between all of them and talking about them all. But ultimately, that's what he means by the enemy from within. And that, the war, these inner cities are what this War Department is going to have to concentrate on. With a war within.
Coming in, pouring in. 25 million all told, and of those 25 million, many of them should never be in our country. They would take their worst people and the people from prisons and jail, and they put them in a caravan and they'd walk up. CNN was interviewing one person. Oh, why are you coming? I want freedom. Good. Were you in jail? Yes. For what? Murder. He said, you had to see this anchor, a young woman. She's like, I couldn't believe it. She'll probably lose her job. But because the left doesn't want to hear that. But we're running it based on common sense and based on love of our country. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military. Because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. I know the family.
Again, that talking about using our inner cities as military training grounds. Military training grounds. The military trains for war. For, as Pete Hegseth just got through talking about, fierce, terror, scary, violent, like, we want to be the most violent, scary, threatening, like, destructive military. We want to use our own inner cities as military training grounds. What? What?
He becomes governor. He's got money. Not money that he made, but he ran for governor, he won, and now he criticizes us all the time. And last week they had 11 people murdered, 44 people shot. The week before that they had 5 people murdered, 28 people shot. Every weekend they lose 5, 6. If they lose 5, they're considering it a great week. They shouldn't lose any. You shouldn't lose any. This is civilization. And he's always up there saying, we're in very good shape. We don't need the military. No, they need the military desperately. How about Portland? Portland, Oregon, where it looks like a war zone. And I get a call from the liberal governor, sir, please don't come in. We don't need you. I said, well, unless they're playing false tapes, this looked like World War II. Your place is burning down. I mean, you must be kidding. Sir, we have it under control. I said, you don't have it under control, Governor.
It's not World War II.
And I'll call you back. I called her back. I said,
most of the conflict is being done by
probably, it's
ICE.
certainly not the biggest, but it's one of the worst. It's brutal. They go after our ICE people who are great patriots and tough job too, but they love it. They love it.
ICE people who are great patriots. These are people who are going around in fucking masks, some of which are not even in any type of military or like any type of uniform. They're just in regular fucking clothes with masks on. They look like criminals going around arresting people with no warrants, no proof of warrants or anything else, just arresting people, dragging people off the roads, disappearing people. These are thugs. That's what the ICE has become. They have become thugs. They are the only ones who are legitimately being like acceptable to literally wear masks covering up their faces so they cannot be identified in regular clothing, going around handcuffing people and taking them and disappearing them. This is what's happening in the United States. That's what's happening. That's what ICE is doing. And you wonder why there's such a uproar and protesting and aggression towards ICE people when this is happening. Like I stated earlier, ICE people, there's been even instances where ICE tear gassed Chicago PD individuals. There's video where the Chicago PD were sitting there trying to wash out their eyes and clear because they had been tear gassed by ICE. They don't care. They're just attacking. They're violent people. These are not like military trained individuals, not to the degree of like these generals and admirals, or even just regular, petty officers or anything. They're not even trained to that degree. These are people that they've just pulled and placed into some authoritarian position where they can run around in unmarked vehicles, regular clothing. I mean, sometimes in military uniform and guns, just arresting and pulling people off of the streets in front of the, local Home Depots or whatever, even outside of the courthouses where the judges have literally just got through stating that they are perfectly okay and that they are free to go, whatever, and ICE is in there trying to grab them and take them off, haul them off somewhere. No warrant to be found. Video of people, and of the people around them and those being arrested, asking for their warrants, to proof of why they're being detained or why they're being arrested, and they are, arguing that they don't have it or they don't need it. These are thugs. These are not fucking patriots. These are criminals. And this guy is supporting it and supporting them. Fuckers like Stephen Miller are putting them out there and supporting them. Fucking patriots. Get the fuck out of here.
Is it cleaning up our country? And so you look at some of the things where they took over parts of Seattle. They actually took over a big percentage of Seattle. Think of that. You remember that. That was a while ago. And I sent in the troops and they were gone. As soon as I sent them in, when we send in the troops, if you have a real leader that says you got to do what you have to do, I put that out the other day. You got to do what you got to do because we don't want our people hurt as they stand by. I was watching during Biden, there were troops standing up like this, brave, standing up at attention, the way I should stand all the time. And I'm like this, and people are standing, and their mouth is this far away from their mouth, and they're spitting at him, they're screaming at him. And that soldier standing there, he wants to knock the hell out of the person, but he's not allowed to do anything. So they just stand there and they get abused. And a woman was this far away from his face, and she starts spitting in his face, and he's not allowed to do anything. If it's okay with you, generals and admirals, I've taken that off. I say, they spit, we hit. Is that okay? I think so.
Does that not go completely against what Hickseth was just talking about? Hickseth was just talking about him clearing the way for the generals, admirals, for people in like the, upper training type of positions or whatever, to be able to aggressively go at, your petty officers or whatever, people in training, whatnot, in their faces, saying whatever the hell they want to and get away with it, screaming at them. And they're not, which we know in training, they're supposed to stand there and accept it. They're not supposed to come back at them or anything. Now you have Trump saying that these people in practice out on the streets should be able to hit back. If they're spit, hit. So are we okay with if a commander gets in the face of a PO or whatever and is, in their faces, cursing, spitting, attacking them, being bullying on them, can that PO hit back? Can that PO attack back? Huh? See the conflict here? The hypocrisy here? How it doesn't mesh? Does it make sense? Pete Kaseth is talking about this, alleged having more training or more control, forcing more control, more temperament, or more acceptance, and being in line as far as training in the military. But Trump is actually completely going against that, saying that no, we don't need to have control and temperament when it comes to civilians that are protesting against us or in our faces. No, we should be able to hit back. If they spit, we hit, which it's not even an equal response whatsoever. But that's what he, it completely goes against what is to be a well-trained military collective responsible type of person. It completely goes against that. So what's it going to be? He's asking for it to be okay for any type of federal officer or National Guardsman, ICE, anybody like that to be able to be aggressive, to actively be aggressive towards anybody that so choose.
They spit. It's a new thing. They spit. We had. How about the cars? Where the cars are coming out? They get brand new cars, Border Patrol, ICE, beautiful, nice new cars, and they're driving along, and they have to go through a gauntlet of rocks being thrown at the car. So here's this beautiful brand new car. By the time it goes 100 yards, it's destroyed.
Disciplined. That's the word I kept trying to come up with. Disciplined. Hex says talking about being disciplined members of the military, like our military becoming more and more disciplined, which, you know, there can be an argument for, but whatever. But Trump is asking for not being disciplined.
These guys have pretty good arms, some of them, and they're throwing bricks at full force into the window and into the car. It looks like it's a war zone. And I said, never let that happen again. From now on, if that ever happens, and I say it here, you get out of that car and you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Because those people are, you know, you can die from that. Those bricks go through the windows. You can die. They'd like it to. They'd like it to go through the window. But this was a couple of months ago. They just kept driving and bricks are hitting the car. And I said, why aren't they stopping? Because they were under orders from the past administration, never stop. But that's different with us. We stop. And since I gave that order, we haven't had that problem. It's very interesting. It's amazing. It's just like in Venezuela. You've seen the boats going. We can't find any more boats. They're carrying drugs. Massive. Every boat kills about 25,000 people. That's what they have. They have fentanyl mostly and a lot of other drugs. And we take them out, and we've taken out 4. So
yeah, they've taken out 4 little ass boats that even if they did have, there's no evidence that they even had any kind of drugs on them. But even if they did, it wouldn't have been of any significance. But we've just blown them up all willy-nilly. No, approval from Congress or anything. We just blew them up. Innocent people, potentially, just blew them up. Instead of, like I talked about before, actually bringing them in, taking them over, checking them out, making sure what's in them, if they're a threat or not, assessing it. No, we just none of that. No rules of engagement like Pete was just talking about a minute ago. No rules of engagement. We don't give a flying fuck. We're just going to shoot and destroy and do whatever we want to. No holds bar. We don't care. You're going to have to just accept it and deal with it. And FOFA. Or FAFO, whatever. Fuck around and find out.
And it's on air. Everybody gets to see it. Not that we like to do that, but every boat kills 25,000 on average. 20. Some people say more. You know, you see these boats stacked up with bags of white powder. It's mostly fentanyl and other drugs too. And now we have a problem. General Kane says, sir, there are no boats out there. Not even fishing boats. They don't want to go fishing. I don't blame them.
Yeah, because they're afraid they're going to get blown the fuck up.
But it's amazing what strength will do, because what we want to do is stop drugs from flowing
That's
into
not
our country.
strength. That's not
We
strength.
lost 300,000 people
That's
died
not
last year.
strength.
Everybody knows friends, many friends probably, that you lost a child, or adults too, but you lost a
That's
son
fear.
or daughter because
That's
of what's
threat.
coming into our border. And
That's making us an
We haven't
adversary.
even started yet. Last month, I signed an executive order to provide training for a quick reaction force that can help quell civil disturbances. This is going to be a big thing for the people in this room, because it's the enemy from within, and we have to handle it before it gets out of control. It won't get out of control. Once you get involved at all, they all joke. They say, oh, this is not good. You saw it in Washington. We had gangs of Trendy Arug, which are 10, 12, 15 kids, and these military guys walk up to them, and they treat them with disrespect, and they just got pounded. They just got pounded. The gang just pounded, then thrown into paddy wagons and taken back to their country. Some are so dangerous we don't want to even do that, because we don't want to. Some of stone cold murderers, we don't have the confidence, even though they're not coming back very easily. We don't have the confidence. We put them in jails. But these service members are following in a great and storied military tradition, from protecting frontier communities to chasing outlaws and bandits in the Wild West. And our history is filled with military heroes who took on all enemies, foreign and domestic. You know that phrase very well. That's what the oath says, foreign and domestic. Well, we also have domestic. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Grover Cleveland, George Bush, and others all used the armed forces to keep domestic order and peace. Many of our leaders used the military to keep peace. Now they like to say, oh, you're not allowed to use the military. And you know what the people say? The people in those cities where they're being raped and shot and beat up, you know what they say? We love the military. You ever see where they interview the people on the street? I've never seen somebody say they don't, unless they're radical and paid off, because a lot of these insurrectionists are paid by, whether it's Soros or other people, but they're paid by the radical left. So today I want to thank every service member from general to private.
They might say that they love our military, but they also say, but we don't want our military in the fucking streets. Nobody wants that imagery of the military going down our city roads. Tanks with covered masks and snipers, which was what was going on in Portland, and attempted in Chicago. Like, this is what we're talking about. Nobody wants to see that. Yes, we, may love those people, may love the military, but they don't want to see our military on our own streets, or people, pretending to be military like ICE is.
Who has bravely helped us secure the nation's capital and make America safe for the American people. It's amazing. The whole world is watching. Everybody in the White House, they come up to me, young women, sir, thank you. I know immediately what they're thinking. They don't have to say it. They walk to work now to the White House. We haven't had a crime in Washington in so long, because we got the careers. We call them the careers. We got these lunatics out, and they'll never be any good. I hate to tell this to the liberal media. You could spend time with them. You could do whatever you want. You could send them to the finest schools, which they couldn't get into anyway, mentally. They couldn't get in, but no matter what you do, they'll never be good. They're bad. They're career criminals who, I don't know, maybe they were born that way. Some people don't like me to say that, but maybe they were. Certainly some were. Together with the leaders here today, we're also restoring a needed focus on defeating threats in the Western Hemisphere. Throughout this region, cartel terrorists have been allowed to wage a relentless campaign of death and destruction on our country, all because we had weak leadership on top. And we did a great job with it first term, but this is something else what we're doing now. We're taking it to the next level, probably next level times 3. But we had COVID come up, and we had to take care of that. We did a great job with COVID. We had the therapeutics. It was just Regeneron. So many things we did for COVID, but we had to focus on that, and every other country in the world was being decimated by COVID. So we had to change gear a little bit to take care of that. But under our leadership, the military is now the knife's edge in combating this sinister enemy. We have to put the traffickers and cartels on notice, and we've done that. And we put them, a lot of them, we've called them a terrorist organization, which is actually a big thing to do. Nobody's done it, but I've done it with a lot of them. It gives you a tremendous advantage. If you try to poison our people, we will blow you out of existence, because that's the only language they really understand. That's why you don't see any more boats on the ocean. You don't see any boats. Around Venezuela, there's nothing. As president, I will never hesitate to defend our people from threats of violence, from the horrible plague that's taking place from within the Iran nuclear.
It didn't take but a quick Google search to find that, he states that there's not been any crime since he took over Washington. And this was just a few days ago where he's saying this. But there was only a streak of 12 days where there was no crime committed, like no homicide, murder, or whatever committed in Washington, D.C. before they had a homicide. And that was a month ago. That was in August. So he's literally lying. I mean, and that just one. Okay, as a matter of fact, further research, just this past weekend, there were 2 deadly shootings in Washington, D.C. 2 deadly shootings. You know, the reason why he states it took 12 days for us to solve this problem is because there was 12 days after they took over Washington, D.C., there was a murder. That's the one murder I was saying. They went 11 days without a murder, and then on the 12th day, there was a murder. And then after that, there was apparently a period of time where there wasn't. That's the reason why he stays in 12 days. We cleaned it up. We finished it. We solved the problem. This is, bro. They haven't. Once again, they haven't solved anything.
Here, power, the Iran, all of the great power that we thought existed, we blew it out to kingdom. We took advantage of it, and we just really took advantage of it. And it was a beautiful thing to see, and that's what military power can achieve. That's why I chose Raising Cane. He's fantastic, by the way. I hope you all agree. If anybody disagrees, could I please have your hand? Who disappears that Raising Cane is no good? Just raise your hand. I don't see any hands raised. All right. That means you're okay. That means that he's okay now, but I saw his results. He took out ISIS. I was told it was going to take 4 years. It took 4 weeks. I went to see him, and he took him out in 4 weeks, knocked him out, knocked him to hell. And I was told by military people it was going to take 4 to 5 years to do it. And I don't even know if we'll have it then, sir. These were the Washington generals. I call them the television generals.
Ain't none of them going to raise their hand.
Raising Cane did it in 4 weeks, took out 100% of the ISIS caliphate. As a result of these actions and many others since my inauguration, we're witnessing the triumphant return of peace through strength. We have great.
They're afraid of what you're going to do to them.
America is respected again as a country. We were not respected with Biden. They looked at him falling downstairs every day. Every day the guy's falling downstairs. He said, "It's not our president. We can't have it." I'm very careful. When I walk downstairs like I'm on stairs, like these stairs, I walk very slowly. Nobody has to set a record. Just try not to fall, because it doesn't work out well. A few of our presidents have fallen, and it became a part of their legacy. We don't want that. You walk nice and easy. You don't have to set any record. Be cool. Be cool when you walk down, but don't pop down the stairs. So one thing with Obama, I had zero respect for him as a president, but he would pop down those stairs. I've never said, da-da-da-da-da-da, pop, pop, pop. He'd go down the stairs, wouldn't hold on. I said, "It's great. I don't want to do it. I guess I could do it, but eventually bad things are going to happen, and it only takes once." But he did a lousy job as president. A year ago, we were
Hasn't Trump failed?
We're dead.
I'm pretty sure he's failed at least once.
We were dead in every way, from immigration to military. We didn't have.
But now he's got to pass PT tests.
We've given everything to Ukraine. We had nothing. And by the way, I have to tell you, now, as you know, I went over and I met with NATO, and NATO raised from 2 to 5, which everyone said 5% of GDP. Millions and now trillions of dollars are pouring in. They didn't pay the 2% because they know we were there to pay it. And now they paid the 5%. That's trillions of dollars. And we're not spending any money on that war, not 10 cents. We sell our equipment to NATO. NATO pays us for the equipment, and they give it to Ukraine or whoever they give it to. But they can keep it. But we're not involved. We have no money going out. Biden gave $350 billion. Not sustainable. $350 billion. And we have a war that should have never started. But we're not doing that anymore. So I just want you to know we're selling equipment. Our people are buying equipment. They are buying the equipment at full price, a fair price. So I don't want to say we're making money, because I don't want to be making money on a war. It's too many people dying. They're losing 7,000 soldiers a week. A lot of them are Russian soldiers, but between the two countries, mostly soldiers, by the way. Sometimes, in Kiev, they'll lob a missile in or some drones in, kill some people. But mostly it's soldiers. Russia and Ukraine are losing 7,000 souls. And, they're not.
No, they're not.
They're not American. They're not us. They're not you. We have a special obligation. But they're soldiers. They're young people. They leave their parents. They wave goodbye. And then 2 days later, they're blown up so unnecessarily. And so that's the primary reason I want to get it done. We got to get it done. It's crazy what's going on. That's the worst war that there's been since World War II. The number of soldiers that are being killed there is just crazy. From 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers die a week. Think of that. So I think we'll get that done. But that's turned out to be the toughest one. I'm so disappointed in President Putin. I thought he would get this thing over with. He should have had that war done in a week. And I said to him, you don't look good. You're 4 years fighting a war that should have taken a week. Are you a paper tiger?
He talks about the same stuff for months and months and months and months,
a shame, but I think
as if it's still happening.
Just like in theory, I want to knock on wood because you never know.
He uses it as his talking points, and he just repeats it over and over again because he can't remember new shit, apparently. I don't know.
But we have to get that war done. So now just think of it, we're a dead country. I was with the King of Saudi Arabia, great guy. I was with the Emir of Qatar. I was with the great leadership of UAE. I was over there. We brought back $2 trillion and more. They ordered 200 planes, Boeings. They ordered so much, and they were great. But they all said essentially the same thing. They said, 1 year ago, you were a dead country, and now you're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're the hottest country in the world right now. The absolute hottest country in the world.
There's nothing to do with generals and admirals.
Said that to me. We met in Alaska, had a good meeting. Then he went back and started sending drones into Kiev. I said, I thought we had a good meeting. But it's one of those things. But we were a dead country a year ago, and now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. Think of that. You can be proud of that.
Wow, what happened? What in the world just happened?
It's a whole different world. And now
that was wild.
I think the Coast Guard and Space Force, our beautiful Space Force. It's a whole different world.
Some technical
and now they're signing
difficulties.
up, by the way, seriously big numbers for the police. Dangerous job, isn't it? Huh? Fire department. But that's the paving the way for progress once thought almost impossible. I mean, a year ago, you wouldn't have thought that was possible. A year ago, they were talking about making the military smaller because they can't get the people to join. We're thinking about making it larger because we have so many people. And it's nice to be able to cut people because of merit that aren't really qualified for any reason, a physical reason, a mental reason. You don't have to take them anymore because you have the pick of the litter. And they all want to be with you. They all want your job. They want to be with you. They want to work with you. They'll even take your job, Got to be a little bit sharp. Got to watch it. But everybody wants to be doing what you're doing now. What a difference when I speak to you, and I can say that as opposed to a couple of years ago when I was talking to rooms where they were desperate to get people and they couldn't get them. What a difference a presidential election
gosh, how
can make.
much he just blabbers about shit.
Just a presidential
It's
election.
pointless.
Yesterday at the White House, we put forward a plan for peace in Gaza. We announced it, and we're going to create something that was my idea, but unfortunately I got drafted. It's going to be called the Board of Peace, and it's going to reign over that territory, and we're going to get that done. And they asked if I'd be the chairman of the Board of Peace. I wasn't counting on that. I had the idea for the Board of Peace, but I said yes, and I guess because of that, every leader, everybody wants to be on the Board of Peace, and we're going to watch over that very volatile part of the world and keep it non-volatile so you don't have to get involved. We want to save you for other things or save you for nothing from that standpoint. We don't want you fighting wars, but if you have to, you're the most lethal fighting force in the world. And I would say that even 2-3 years ago, but now I say it with great enthusiasm. It's so true. And we're
going to take over. He's going to take over Gaza, take over rule of Gaza.
And as you know, we're also working hard to get the allies to share more of the burden of our defense. Much of that has really already taken place. But all NATO members have committed to the increase that I talked about. Think of that. That was unthinkable. It used to be 1%, then we got it up to 2% in my last term. And they did not like it. And now I got it to 5%, and I get along great with all of them. In fact, they call me the president of NATO. I said, I don't think so. But they're great. They're great people, and they're spending a lot of money, and a lot of money that they should have been spending in the past. But I think Putin was a wake-up call for them, really. We're now selling large quantities of American-made weapons to NATO, and we're getting really fair pricing. We're making a lot of money. It's my hope that from Europe to Asia to the Middle East, our allies will make similar commitments to increase their military capabilities. And this will greatly strengthen our alliances, and also it will make war far less likely. If you're a strong presence like we are such a strong presence now. And I go around bragging about that. I said, we have the strongest military anywhere in the world. I say it. You never heard Biden say that. You never heard him say anything. But you never heard him say, did you ever hear him say, we have the strongest military? He doesn't say that. I say it. We have the strongest military anywhere in the world.
I'm
We have
pretty
great
sure he
leadership,
said
and I'll
that.
tell you, Pete and General Kane, all of the people that I've met that have been lifted up in rank. And we got many of them out of here, too. I'll be honest with you. Didn't like doing it, but we got many of you out of here because we weren't satisfied. We know everything about everybody. It'll also help the United States rapidly rebuild our defense industrial base. Each of you can play an important part in getting allies to do their part. So to that end, Secretary Hegseth will soon be announcing major reforms to streamline military acquisitions and expedite foreign military sales. We have tremendous numbers of countries that want to buy our equipment, and in many cases it takes too long. They're backlogged. We're backlogged on all the equipment, which is something that's new to us a little bit. And I told those companies, you better get your ass going because we're selling you a lot of equipment. We're getting countries to buy your equipment. You got to produce the equipment. Some of the countries, I'm not going to mention, but some of the countries are buying a lot. And that's a good thing. They're on our side. 95%. I'll never say 100% because they can always turn, right? You know about that. But they're on our side. The problem is we have to get the companies that make this equipment. And we make the best equipment in the world, but they got to make it faster. We have orders for the F-35. We have orders for everything. The new F-47. We have orders for everything. They got to make it faster, a lot faster. Ammunition they have to make faster. In the coming months, we'll be making even more historic announcements to fully embrace the identity of the Department of War. I love the name. I think it's so great. I think it stops wars. The Department of War is going to stop wars.
Yeah, because that makes sense.
And relentless as our enemies, the United States Armed Forces will be totally unmatched in the future. We have a group of enemies that are very ruthless and very smart, but they can't match us. They can't match us. They don't even come close to matching us. Again, it's very important for me to say we have the greatest military in the world, but we make the best equipment in the world. I watched our
Remember, I have this on
anti-missile missiles. I
1.25.
watched our Patriots just knock things out like a needle, hitting another needle on the stage. There's a needle up there, and you send another needle up, and it hits it every time. During the war, we went 14 for 14. We had 14, this is where they ran, we had 14 missiles coming at us. All 14 were knocked out of the sky, every one of them. We make the best equipment. From Sparta to Rome, to the British Empire, to the United States of America, history has shown that military supremacy has never been simply a matter of money or manpower. At the end of the day, it's a needle up, and it hits it every time. During the war, we went 14 for 14. We had 14, this is where they ran, we had 14 missiles coming at us. All 14 were knocked out of the sky, every one of them. We make the best equipment. From Sparta to Rome, to the British Empire, to the United States of America, history has shown that military supremacy has never been simply a matter of money or manpower. At the end of the day, it is the culture, spirit of our military that truly sets us apart from any other nation. Our ultimate strength will always come from the fierce people, and those brilliant people with such pride, and the unbending will, and the traditions of excellence that have made us the most unstoppable force ever to walk the face of the earth. And that's what we are. Remember, we never want to use it, but we have the most powerful nuclear capability, and I call it nuclear deterrent of any other country. Nobody close. The men and women in this room inherit the legacy built and won by Washington and Jackson, Grant and Pershing, Eisenhower and Patton, Nimitz and LeMay. We carry forward the majestic military heritage passed down from father to son, soldier to soldier, and one generation of warriors to the next. You are warriors, you know that, right? You're great warriors, or you wouldn't be in this room. You're the best of the best. From Concord Bridge to Fort McHenry, from Gettysburg to Manila Bay, from Normandy to Sicily, and from the jungles of Vietnam to the dusty streets of Baghdad, America's military has charged into hellfire, climbed up jagged mountains, crossed roaring oceans, and thundered across open deserts to defend our flag, our freedom, and our homeland. Nobody does it like you. Now we are discovering American muscle, reasserting American might, and beginning the next story chapter in American military legends and lore. That's L-O-R-E. It is lore. When it comes to defending our way of life, nothing will slow us. No enemy will stop us. They cannot stop us. Oh my God. And no adversary will stand in our way. They won't stand in our way. We don't want them to stand in our way. We don't want to even put them in that position, but they're not going to stand in our way ever again. You'll never see 4 years like we had with Biden and that group of incompetent people that ran this country that should have never been there. Because we are the United States military, the best, the boldest, the bravest that the world has ever seen, that the world has ever known. With leaders like we have right here in this beautiful room today, we will vanquish every danger and crush every threat to our freedom in every generation to come, because we will fight, 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 and we will win, win, win. I want to just thank you once again, and God bless the United States military, and God bless America. God bless you all. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ay, ay, ay. I thought that was never going to end. So, again, we have like I said, Trump going, in my opinion, against Hegseth and, talking about discipline within the military that, and even arguing against his own idea, okay, he argued that Biden and the Democrats, or that the previous administrations argued for discipline. That's what he basically said. That they stand there, they take what's given to them from they stand there. It didn't matter if you have protesters up in their face yelling, screaming, spitting on them or whatever. They stand there. They don't do anything. It's called discipline. That's what they're supposed to do. They're not supposed to engage. They're supposed to downplay. That's the whole point, is to downplay, de-escalate. That's discipline. Which is what not really, but to a degree, as far as training is concerned, Hegseth was arguing for was more disciplined training. So that we would have better warriors on the battlefield. But with Trump, he's stating, throw all the discipline out the window. We don't care. If we're spit on, we'll hit. If you spit, we hit. That's so throw out discipline, throw out control, throw out de-escalation. We want to fight back. And that's the reason why his ICE agents have been acting the way they've been acting. Like they have no disciplinariness to them at all. Like they are not going to have any kind of consequences for anything that they do. And that's the reason why you're having the uproar in society right now all across America. And protests are becoming more and more frequent, especially localized in some of these areas. Yes, we have national protests that are being done every month or so. We got another one coming up here, I think on the 18th, if I'm not mistaken, of October. Another No Kings rally. But you've got protests and stuff happening now almost on the daily in some of these cities because of the actions of ICE and what they're doing across this country. And you've got Trump standing here defending it and acting like these are patriots, that they're doing good work. But it has been shown over and over and over again that they are the threat. They are the only group that is allowed to go around with masks over their faces and hiding their identity. Policemen can't do that. And then the ICE is even ICE even shot and killed a woman a few days ago. Opened fire on her vehicle, shot and killed her. Because they argue that she was doxing them. So they took judgment upon themselves, law and order, judgment and punishment on themselves, jumped out on the vehicle, shot, killed her, and just because they claimed that she was doxing them, she was releasing their information publicly. When there is no doxing with a federal agency. You are at the whim. Everybody's supposed to know who you are. You aren't supposed to be able to hide your face, hide your identity, and literally kidnap people off the streets. Like this is not the way. This is not the America that people really want. But outside of that, I mean, you've just got him just going on about nonsense, lie after lie after lie, exaggeration after exaggeration, talking points that he's been saying for months and even years at this point. That, you know, like because apparently he can't remember new data or anything else, or like he just goes with numbers, makes up numbers, adds to numbers. Exaggeration after exaggeration. The man is, like I said, fake news. He is the fake news that he claims over and over and over and over again. And this man, these generals and admirals were summoned to this place to hear a raging lunatic in Pete Hegseth, and you know, and to scolding them on what they should and how they should be training, how they should look, how they should, you know, all these different things, and then had to listen through this mumbling piece of work. The commander-in-chief, who, you know, is probably not going to be held up to that PT test, who is openly pushing for military training in our own cities for ICE agents ripping people off the streets, going after his political opposition and people who are not in loyalty to him, threatening protesters, judges, political positions like politicians, governors, Congress people, everybody that is not in loyalty with him. This is what this is what they are. This is the actions of fascist regime. These are the actions of a dictatorship. Openly arguing for our own military to be in the streets. The war within. That's what this War Department is openly focusing on. The war within. The enemy within. And the enemy is anyone who's not loyal to him. And this is only they are attempting to little by little get the acceptance of the American people, those that are loyal to Trump, those that are, for some reason cannot see through this guy, that constantly defend him. They are little by little getting the acceptance of this citizenry, the small fraction of American people who just are blind and think that he can do no wrong, so that he can little by little get more and more aggressive across the country. And eventually it's going to be in your own backyard. This is ongoing, and they're speaking to the generals and admirals of our military openly about this stuff, and talking about it as if they know that these generals and admirals are like on board with them, or they think they are. And to any degree that they're not, well, you could lose your rank, or you can just go somewhere else. You're not good enough members of the military. We don't want you here. I know I was going to try to make this video shorter than the other, but apparently I did not succeed in that. This is a bunch of mumbling nonsense for the majority of it. But let me know what you think. This is really just more of the Hegseth video. Honestly, it's really on the same page. I'm sorry that you had to sit through that. I'm sorry that these generals and admirals had to sit through this. They had to sit through both 2.5 hours almost of Hegseth and Trump. That is wild. Yeah. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will try not to do long videos like this again. But thank you very much. ClearTalk. Peace. I'm out.